It's like when you're like 12 and you can't stop laughing about farts.
What's going on, everyone? This is the Aggie Game Day Extra podcast. I'm KBTX senior Texas A&M sportswriter Travis Brown, alongside chief meteorologist Max Crawford. Max, how are you?
Good. It's been a weird day, but we're here. We're here.
Tyler Shaw, sports director over there. How are you, little buddy?
We're doing well.
Big boy, B-O-I.
Yeah,
That's my moniker.
I didn't know you were from Atlanta, Tyler.
You know, just how.
We'll call you Andre the rest of the cast.
Okay, there we go.
I'm sorry. I was just so taken aback by your 3-2-1 and then immediate start. That's going to be really hard for you to cut.
That was pretty immediate. It was almost like the one bled into the...
You were like 3-2-1. What's going on?
I have...
It was almost like 3-2. What's going on?
Yeah, 3-2. 3-2. What's going on? No, it'll be okay. I'll figure it out.
I think you can do it. I have faith you can do it. Once you see the sound waves in the timeline editor, it's a lot easier.
I don't know if I'm a master at it. I don't know. I don't know if I have that skill set yet. We'll see. We're going to start with this. A lot of conversation about this week. Is Rudy a good movie?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask if Rudy the person's a good person.
We're just going to go with is Rudy
yeah.
a good movie?
We had him on game day last year.
We did have him on game day last year. Friend of the show.
I think short answer is yes. And I think Sean Astin does a lot of the heavy lifting in order to make it a good movie.
Other than the jersey scene, do you remember anything about the movie?
Yeah, for
really?
sure.
Okay.
For sure.
That's the thing is it has been a while since I've watched it. So, yes, I think it's a good movie, but I think it's more the nostalgia. It's a classic.
Yeah.
And
is it a good football movie? I don't know. I don't even know that I'd really call it a football movie because it's pretty slow. It's a drama and it's got like some ups and downs, but
it's more okay. Like, I got a take for you.
Sure.
It's more of a football movie than The Sandlot is a baseball movie.
Okay.
Because The Sandlot is a coming of age.
Sure.
Story.
I think I would lump those two in similar like sports movies that aren't necessarily about
great movies.
Sandlot is a perfectly great movie.
Yeah.
It's not a baseball movie. It's a coming of age movie.
Tyler mentioned nostalgia and stuff like that. Like, I grew up watching Rudy because my brother loved Rudy. I had to ask him if he still thinks it's a great movie. I bet he does, but he like personified the Rudiness of it. And at least the character in the movie Rudy, if you're an Aggie and you really sympathize with the 12th man, I think it's an easy hook for most A&M fans. It's like he was essentially the 12th man of Notre Dame, right? It was like a dude who fought his way onto the scout team by walking on and stuff like that. And so I think that like my brother very much gravitated to that because he was like kind of undersized, but he worked really hard, that kind of thing.
Which some like Scooby Williams might say is a lot like The Blind Side.
Yeah, I was about to say Rudy, very different than The Blind Side.
Very different than The Blind Side.
Still
very different than radio.
Very different than radio.
And perhaps really different than real life.
Perhaps very different than real life. What did you give an answer? Do you think is it a good movie?
Yeah, I think so, but it's one of those like it's been so long since I watched it that it's just kind of the remembering the rememberings of it.
I will say, Blindside had better cameos. The cameos in Blindside were great, like Lou Holtz and Coach O, and I forget
his name was in it. Nick Saban was in it. The coaches on the visit, I even forget what school he was representing, but
I think it was LSU.
Yeah,
because Lou Holtz was at South Carolina, Coach O was Ole Miss. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So, like, what is the epitome of a football movie?
Oh gosh. I don't. I mean, like for me, the answer is Remember the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. I think I would dare I even say sports movie. I don't know that you could beat that for me. Like, it's just got a little bit of everything. It is a darn near perfect movie. in my mind.
That's
the first one I thought of. But like football movies, I don't know. Like Any Given Sunday's a good one. Varsity Blues,
Friday Night Lights.
I might go Friday Night Lights, the best football movie.
Yeah, Friday Night. I will say I like Friday Night Lights the movie more than the TV series.
Going back with Rudy, I think Rudy is a good movie. I think when I got done with it, I'm like, that was a good movie.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay.
And then when I try to think back of like the individual parts, I can't really remember much about it other than the Jersey scene.
Yeah, I didn't go
back.
back.
Time you see Vince Vaughn, you're like, whoa. Vince Vaughn being like serious quarterback guy.
Yeah, I think I remember it more vividly than that, but I probably watched it more than you have, just because I watched it with my brother so many times.
I watched it for the first time once last year before the...
Oh, that was your first doing it?
So you never watched it as a kid?
No, I didn't watch it as a kid.
It's a good movie.
If there was a sports movie that I watched over and over and over as a kid, it was The Natural. The Natural was my movie. It's still my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm with Max. I think my favorite sports movies Remember the Titans. I think that's kind of the pinnacle, the epitome, all-encompassing kind of story of sports movie.
I can't think of a better one that's like the total package. Like it's got elements of comedy, it's got like gut-wrenching like moments and drama and stuff like that. So to me, that's the perfect sports movie.
Underrated Glory Road, which is basically Remember the Titans but basketball version.
That was a good one.
Isn't
Miracle
Dallas Stars play-by-play man Ralph Strangis in Glory Road?
I think so. Yeah.
Miracle is one that a lot of people pointed to.
Is a great one.
Yeah, it's a good one. But yeah, for me, it's always The Natural. The Natural's
that's a great pick.
Sports movie. Let's get right into the headlines of this week. It's a big week for A&M. It's a testing week, and let's start off with the biggest one for everybody from Mike Elko to fellow players to his dad to him himself. Marcel Reed is supposedly fine for this game. Of course, in the Utah State game, he took a hit scrambling on a play, stayed down for a while, went into the training tent, ran to the locker room. I had the binoculars out, was looking down there, saw that Casey Concepcion went over to check on him. Was kind of waiting around, and then a trainer came out, and Casey kind of gave like the like tentative like thumbs up, and the trainer kind of gave him a thumbs up back, and he gave a little fist pump. So that was
exactly what I was about to say before you play-by-played it. Is if you didn't need any motivation, or if you needed some motivation to follow Travis on the Twitters during game time, that was something that I kept going back to and showing people. It's like, well, Travis said that KC did this and a fist pump, and so there's your play-by-play right there.
Usually you don't get lucky enough to have like a player react like that. Usually they'll like go over and say,
because that's when the tent is for,
and
right?
Walk off. Like I don't get like a fist pump. So thanks, Casey.
Shedding light in the
giving everybody a little bit of And then after the game, he said that he went over to Marcel and said, like, heal up because you're gonna play at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice. So that was
need your buddy.
Yeah, that was that. What did Marcel need to be in at that point in the game? Did he need to be running there? Like what are our thoughts on the situation that kind of caused all this, even if it's a little bit of nothing?
No, I don't think it's one of those where you look back on like, maybe he should have, not been in the game then, because there's still plenty of game left at that point. I get that it was basically done with. Now, this kind of forced him out, and this was probably about the good time in the game that you'd want him to come out anyways. Their third quarter, if I'm right, because it was at the end of the third quarter by the time that he went back to the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, man, and you want to
like queued up here,
and then I still think, you want all the reps leading up to the, because the players know it, everyone knows it. It's all coming down to this Notre Dame game. These first were kind of basically tune-up games to this big top matchup against top 10 team on the road. So I think it was fine that he was playing up to this point, and he did run a lot more against Utah State. I think they showed two different ways of doing their offense against UTSA and Utah State, and I think that was by design to give Notre Dame you don't know what you're getting from us. We can do it in multiple ways. So pick your poison of what you're going to defend. So I think having him in wasn't a bad decision. It's just unfortunate that he kind of got shaken up on this play.
I don't think it's been a minute since there has been a lull in the crowd like that, like a kind of breath taken out of the crowd, followed so quickly by a whoa, and that's the Miles O'Neal long bomb that was like pretty shortly after this. But also, I think that was the second Marcel Reed chant of the game.
At least the second.
Which led me to believe that we have it's a very chantable name, because I'm thinking of some other, Kellen Mond is, very similar syllable-wise, but it's just like, it's very easy to say in a yell chanty voice. Marcel Reed. So there you go. There's that. I wrote into that
earlier because those chants started coming. I was like, that's kind of a natural little
I guess
chant.
they did that in the LSU game last year and stuff. But yeah, it was like the whole stadium was kind of like, oh my gosh. People were like, oh no, and other people were like, here we go again. And I was kind of both.
Yeah, because it's has it been since 2020 that A&M has kept a quarterback healthy through the
That's
Kellen Mond.
Yeah, is correct.
It was last year
since the flippin' just made of wrought iron Kellen Mond. Like
he was, because he took some
didn't
shots.
really miss time.
One of the most durable players in my memory.
He took some shots in that.
Him and Isaiah Stiller both. There were a couple of times that season specifically where I was like, Lee, is he going to get up? But they did.
Yep. So next on the headline list, when we talked about this a little bit last week with individually, but like A&M's wide receivers are the storyline of this whole season so far, pretty much. Between Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver, Terry Bussey getting in on the action. Ashton Bethel Roman actually, he's had his plays and his catches. He hasn't had anything just super stand out.
A couple of drops against Utah State.
Yeah. But some of the interesting things I kind of delved into that a little bit over one of the stories. And if you go into the way that this offense has changed from last year, they were after 2 games, A&M's passing offense is averaging 340 yards per game so far this season. After 2 games last year, it was about 140 yards per game. Of course, Connor Wigman only had about just over 100 yards in that Notre Dame game to start out the season.
And was the second game Bowling Green?
No, it was McNeese State.
McNeese, right.
Bowling Green.
So yeah, it's been a little bit of a different. I want to say, I'm trying to pull up the numbers here from my story, but I want to say in passing attempts in the first 2 games last year, it was right around 55, and so far this year they're well into the 60s. There you go, 70 pass attempts so far this year, 55 through 2 games the year prior. They have definitely leaned more on the passing game. Mario Craver is you don't get to answer because we've already talked about this. Mario Craver is the first Aggie with 100 yards receiving in 2 games since who?
So I feel like Anaya Smith is that was my easiest answer. Okay,
no, so not Anaya Smith.
2 games in a row, just 2 games,
back to back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so in a row.
I'll give you a second, and then I'll give you the year.
Oh, okay. Courtney Davis.
No, it's 2023.
It was 2023, so I don't know, like Chase Lane?
No, it was, in fact, Evan Stewart.
Oh. Really?
Yeah. The season opener against New Mexico, followed by Miami. In that 2023 season was the last time that an A&M receiver went back to 100 yards receiving.
How about that?
And it just hasn't been. Last year there was only 4 instances, where a Aggie receiver went over 100 yards receiving in the entire season, let alone back-to-back games.
Yep.
So they've been pretty salty over there, those wide receivers. You can look at Concepcion has the touchdowns. Craver has the yards with some touchdowns. Bussey has maybe the most explosive play. Who of this group maybe has impressed you the most so far?
I think still KC comes. I mean, they've all three been really impressive. I mean, it's kind of hard to choose, which one's the most. But I would probably start with KC, and a lot of that is because he's the one that's going to garner that attention, and I think his ability kind of clears things up for the other guys on what he's able to do, and what he does on special teams too. I mean, Terry Bussey as well, but he's going to be. I mean, the end of the season. It's going to be interesting to see kind of his all-purpose yards stacked up with the rest of the conference because he's going to be up there with what he does special teams and receiving. And, yeah, some of his catches are pretty impressive.
I think when you factor in the special teams involvement, it's pretty easily KC, but I think even if you don't, it's still arguably KC. I don't know where this stat came from because it was just a buddy who texted it to me. But apparently every catch he's had has either been a first down or a touchdown. That's insane.
That's
amazing.
That is obviously, this would probably be a game where we don't see that trade continue, considering that the competition level is about to go up. But regardless, I mean, that's still a heck of a stat. But I will tell you, man, the dude who's just got the home run from every play potential is Craver. That and it was that. It wasn't even his first touchdown. I think it was his second touchdown against UTSA where he like caught it almost at the ground and just turned it into another gear that I have not seen from an A&M player since HM. Where I said, okay, this kid's special too. And I think that was after he had already scored a touchdown. I think Casey had already gotten his 2 tutters. So I mean, like the upgrade in talent and obviously already production that we've gotten on that on with our wideouts is so cool. It's insane. I just haven't seen that in such a long time. I don't even really know how to express like how happy I am to see that offensive explosiveness.
Since we were just watching the clips right there, I'll go Terry Bussey. Like everybody wanted to see his playmaking ability last season. He wasn't necessarily there all that much in the UTSA game, but it seemed like there was a little bit more of an effort to get him the ball in that UTSA game, especially like right from the beginning, a couple screens his way.
Mm-hmm.
So, Terry Bussey, I think the one guy that we've yet really to see break out like maybe the conversation was Ashton Bethel-Roman.
Yeah. And he's had a couple of good catches. He's also had a couple, I wouldn't say, not necessarily say crucial drops at this point in the season just yet, but he has had a couple of drops where you're like, oh man, you'd expect him not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would look out for Terry Bussey to maybe have a pretty good game against her, just because their corners might be focused so much on Craver and Concepcion that might free up Terry Bussey to have
and the tight ends, right?
To that point, I was talking with some of the Notre Dame beat guys on one of their podcasts earlier, and they were asking about the wide receivers. And I was trying to think back. This is the deepest wide receiver group A&M has had probably since Mike Evans and Ryan Swope.
Yeah.
When have they? They had Christian Kirk. They had Anais Smith. I mean, Josh Reynolds was kind of in there with Christian Kirk a little bit, but Josh Reynolds was a little hit or miss at that time. I can't, correct me if I'm wrong here, but when was the last time they had a group that was this deep where you could say, okay, you're going to lock down KC in double coverage? Well, they have Mario. Okay, somehow you're going to put 2 great guys in it. Okay, well, now you have Terry Bussey or you have Theo or like, is there a time that there's been better within the last one, like the SEC era?
But if you go beyond the SEC era, you're talking like Jeff Fuller and Easy Nwachuku. But
shout out McKinney Boyd High School.
Yeah, where's the Nwachuku's from? What, Allen? But anyway, so those are 2 BFW.
I went to school with Jeff Fuller.
I guess in the SEC era, yes. I think I'd maybe need a little bit a bigger sample size to say, would I prefer KC and Mario versus Kirk and Reynolds? But I mean, shoot, man, 2 games in, I think it's a wash, really. And you were talking about speed. I think overall, Reynolds was perfectly fast, but I think Craver and KC are faster than both Reynolds was. I don't know that either. I don't know. Kirk was a special talent. Like,
he was, but he was one guy. Right. Too often they had to be overly dependent upon him.
Absolutely. Especially in Sumlin's last year or so.
I mean, there was we've talked about this before, the Dukes Mayo Belk Bowl.
Yeah.
Where that was right after someone got fired, where both him and was it Nick Starkel
Mhm.
that just went off, even though they in the loss. But then there was games where Kirk was pretty covered up too.
I mean, well, so it was Malcolm Kennedy for a little while who, were they on the same team at the same time? I don't even know if they were, but like Damian Ratley is like another person that I'm thinking of that like would maybe replace Kirk or Reynolds' production. Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah, it was
Which, like,
consistent.
Yeah, and no slide on Damian Ratley. That dude was fast, and he figured it out his
One of the
years.
best
But
interviews too. Like he just said it was never on his mind.
Yeah, I love that.
No matter. It was great. Well, let's wrap this up real quick with a pair of losses for A&M. A&M soccer, they were the first one to end the winning ways, the undefeated ways of all of A&M's team by losing to number 4 TCU in a late goal by the Horned Frogs.
That happened just a few hours after A&M dropped that tweet.
You know what? You can mention it. I wasn't going to mention it. Way to go. And then Aggie volleyball loses last night to number 10 SMU in a top 10 matchup up there in Dallas. They got swept.
They did, and it wasn't particularly close, and that was the worst hitting performance from this team I've seen. They had their highest hitting percentage at like .431 against Utah State the last game. They were at like a .07, like 70 hitting percentage. It was, no one got double-digit kills. They just did not get an attack going. SMU looked really good.
I wonder if they're just tired, man.
And that might be like, they still have not played a match at home. They're starting the season 7 matches on the road.
Have they even been back in College Station since the road trip?
Barely.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like, and maybe that is a good taste of like what tournament action could be like. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why Morrison was cool with that schedule. Not that there was much that he could probably do about it. But yeah, I kind of attribute that to like, man, you just been rocking and rolling and you just had an off night, right? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think it's too concerning just because, we've seen what they're capable of. And like Logan Lednick, he's not going to have, that night every night.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's concerning, but it shows you kind of what you're up against when you go against top 10 teams.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then finally here we have A&M men's hoops dropped their kind of their full schedule. We were talking about this.
Yeah.
It's not the finalized schedule because I think for the first year they're having these flex where in the conference slate it could be a Tuesday or Wednesday night. I guess they'll announce that the week before or something.
Yeah, so I remember. So they had a couple in the past where they had those flex Tuesdays, but I don't remember. It's never been this many.
Yeah.
Where it seems like most of the schedule is kind of still up in the air when they're actually going to play. It's interesting.
So, and it's not the world's greatest home non-conference slate. I mean, a lot of that has to do with Bucky McMillan getting in here pretty late, and they have to set up some scramble to make it all happen. But UCF at home is pretty much the best option. I mean, they do go on the road to play Oklahoma State. They play Arizona State in exhibition in Fort Bend. They play Pitt and Florida State. SMU, but that's up in Arlington, actually. So really, other than UCF, I mean, you got Northwestern State, Texas Southern, Montana, Manhattan, Mississippi Valley State, Jacksonville. Like, there's going to be a lot of, in my writing, when I go cover these games, if it's just a kind of ho-hum conference game, I'll do a condensed game, or if it's a bigger game, I might do a bigger game. I'm going to do it doing a lot of condensed.
So these might be some quick stories here.
All this. I mean, does this excite you at all, Max?
What, the non-conference slate?
Well, yeah.
I like probably not as much as what Buzz tried to do the last couple of years, but like I'm at the point to where I don't know what the heck this team is going to look like, so I'm going to probably watch the games anyway,
Yeah.
So I don't know that I need a particularly grabbing non-conference slate with this team just yet. And I don't know that that's the stratagem that they're going to employ moving forward after this first year. But yeah, I want to see the product on the field, what it actually looks like. So yeah, sure it's not super inspiring, but like whatever, it's basketball.
Yeah. Notable, the conference slate starts on January 3rd against LSU at Reed Arena, and then the Lone Star Showdown starts in Austin this year. It was in College Station first on January 17th, and then the Longhorns return to Reed Arena on February 28th. That's the third to last game of the season. So Other than that, in there, you gotta they host Kentucky.
That'll be a fun one.
Next, they go to Alabama,
To Arkansas.
That's another one of those flex games. And Auburn is the second game of non-conference. So that'll be a quick early test for the Aggies there. Baseball, the SEC slate was released. April's going to be a little bit of a doozy. You got the 4 April weekend series: Vanderbilt at Bluebell Park, Texas at Bluebell Park, LSU at Alex Box Stadium, and Florida at Condren Family Ballpark. That is a little bit of a murderer's row there.
And then, I mean, right, I see that it doesn't get much easier. You've got Auburn, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State, but like that's SEC baseball. What people have talked about for so long about like how SEC football is such a gauntlet, it's really SEC baseball now. Yeah. Like there is no easy conference series anymore. Like all of those teams are good. I was like, oh, well, Auburn after that, but like Auburn was pretty darn good last year, and there's no reason to expect them to not be good this year. So. But yeah, I think it is somehow, though, a friendlier schedule than it was last year.
I think it's been like that for a while, where the SEC baseball gauntlet is worse than the football gauntlet for the SEC.
Yeah, it's intense. It's very, very intense.
Over 40 years ago, my parents started C&J Barbecue, and today we continue to honor Dad's legacy with the best barbecue in the Brazos Valley. With locations on Harvey Road, Southwest Parkway, and our newest location on William Joe Bryan, we carry on our family tradition of serving up award-winning barbecue, sides, and desserts. We also offer delivery, catering, as well as custom menus and private chef services. Come visit us today for some of the best barbecue around. C&J Barbecue. The C is for Chip, the J is for Joe, and the barbecue is for you.
Well, we'll get right now into what everybody is talking about and has been talking about for the entire offseason. It's the matchup: Texas A&M, number 16, going to number 8, Notre Dame. That is in South Bend at Notre Dame Stadium. 6:45 p.m. kickoff, NBC. Curious to see that we haven't seen an NBC broadcast for A&M. I don't think, to see how that all goes down for them. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. First thoughts on this matchup, Tyler.
So, preseason, I etched this in as kind of the big upset. I had the Aggies winning, and because I'll stand by it. I'll stand by that, but I don't feel great about this. This is a huge test. It could be the most uncomfortable. We raved about the receivers and kind of how deep it is. This might be the game that they are the most uncomfortable in, just because of Notre Dame's defense and what they got in the secondary. I do think they're equipped to counteract that with the likes of Marcel Reed and Le'Veon Moss and your tight ends. The thing I worry about is, will they be able to stop Notre Dame's run game? They showed progress against Utah State. UTSA game was a lot of concerns with the run defense. Showed some progress against Utah State, but still not enough confidence, I think, that they are ready to just kind of shut down Notre Dame's run attack. So that's what gives me the most worry. The whole, on the road ranked opponent hasn't been done in forever. That's kind of looming as well. The streaks have to be broken eventually, and why not this one? But I think just from a spectator standpoint, it's going to be a great matchup. Seeing the corners and and A&M's wide receivers go at it, it's going to be a great battle. See if Cassius Howell can follow up his trifecta of sacks. I think it's going to be a great matchup.
Max, we don't really have a good feel on this one, right?
No, and Tyler and I also mentioned yesterday, I said, if you're a neutral observer, this is probably going to be a really fun game to watch. I don't think it's going to be very fun for me. Even assuming we play well, I think I'm still going to be stressed out the whole time. But it kind of in line with Tyler's thinking. I just don't know that we're there yet. I think that we have the potential to break that streak. Obviously not at the non-conference part, but I think we have the potential to break that streak of beating a ranked team away this year. We're going to have a couple opportunities to do so. I just don't know that this is the game. We've got, I think you saw it in week 1 with Notre Dame and Miami. You give the edge to the home cooking, right? Like, and I think that ultimately that was kind of the deciding factor. Not that it is like a super hard place to play in Hard Rock. I say that, of course, we lost at Miami, but yeah, you give the edge to the home team here. I mean, it's a home game at night. Like, there's a reason we don't have a good record. I don't think a lot of teams do, right? And that's before you even mention the matchups. Y'all talked about defense and stuff like that. It's two really supposedly star running backs versus a run defense that isn't all put together yet. I'm not even going to say that it's bad. I don't like the ingredients that are in place here. And yeah, I don't think that this is the week that we figure it out. Now, if we do, watch out, because I'm going to be insufferable. But I'm emotionally hedging a little bit too, I think, in that this is kind of like a little preseason test, because just the way that this is set up, you had UTSA, which is a formidable G5 opponent. You kind of have a tune-up game against Utah State, and then you have your real test, right? Well, then you go into a bye week before you start. I would say the first of like two kind of conference onslaught, where I think the back half of the season once again is going to be harder. But to me, this is pretty inconsequential to what I think the season is going to be. Now, again, a better way to put that, I guess I should say, is I think we have a lot more to win from this than we stand to lose. Because if we lose this game, I think we're still going to be ranked. We are still undefeated in conference, so the schedule is still completely ahead of us. I don't know that I felt that way going into this game last year. Like last year, I think it was a little bit more must-win in Mike Elko's first game. Obviously, we didn't. And it proved really not to matter all that much, right? And I kind of have that feeling too. Like, I think we're going to lose a close one, and I think ultimately we're not going to spend a whole lot of time dwelling on this game.
Sorry, what makes me a little more comfortable about my pick of, my preseason pick A&M is Notre Dame has a lot more to lose in this one. Texas A&M loses this game, they still got the season ahead of them. You're starting 0-2 if you're Notre Dame, and you get beat after the loss to Miami, and that's going to be an uphill battle to get to the playoffs if you're the Irish. So that's what gives me a little pause is they've got everything to play for.
Yeah, I don't have a great feel about this. Kind of some of the same points you were saying, Max. Let's take a little bit of a closer look at the Irish here. We mentioned last week they lost 27-24 to number 10 Miami. That one came down to the wire. Curiously enough, their two-headed running back duo of Love and Price, only 16 carries for 78 yards. I mean, they went for almost 200 yards against A&M last year. That duo, both of them 1,000-yard rushers. Last year. CJ Carr is the new quarterback. He stepped in there, went 19 for 30 for 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception in that game. Had a rushing touchdown as well. Not quite Riley Leonard as a runner, but can run the ball a little bit. Then they have the new defensive coordinator, Chris Ash, and most notably, a lot of man-to-man coverage, which, Mario Craver said yesterday that he's fine with. He likes that kind of challenge. I mentioned Love and Price here. They have really separated themselves. Mike Elko said this is maybe one of the best duos that he's ever seen. Last year, Jeremiyah Love 1,100 yards, Jadarian Price almost 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Pretty comparable carries, 120 to 163. I mean, this is going to be a test. Let's actually listen real quick to what head coach Mike Elko had to say about this tandem of backs for Notre Dame.
I think it's as talented a duo as I've played against. I was actually talking about this, that the only thing that I can remember in the ballpark was when I was actually at Notre Dame and we played Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel, and that group was really talented. But these two kids are really, really good. Their athleticism for their size, the way they hit the hole, the power with which they run, they're both effective pass catchers. These two kids are really, really talented football players.
So Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel, that's some pretty high praise to these guys. I know we all got to see them last year. Is this going to be the key? Are they going to go back to them a little bit more this go around instead of the Miami game? What do you think about Notre Dame's run game and how they're going to utilize those two guys?
I think they're going to have to. It is curious and head scratching why they didn't use them as much against Miami. But if you're Notre Dame and looking at, if there is a weakness on Texas A&M's defenses, is probably in that run game. And looking at that defensive line and what they're able to do pass rush wise, I think they're just going to, from the get go, try to run it down their throat. Especially when, you got a freshman quarterback in CJ Carr. This is going to be, just his, second. Now he had some great experience with Miami, so you have 2 back-to-back huge games. But yeah, I think they're going to have to go with the run attack, and I think everyone is expecting that. I would think.
Yeah, I don't know if it was maybe the offensive coordinator trying to be a little big brain and saying, well, they're going to be gunning for those guys, so we're going to try to beat you elsewhere or something. But I think it would be foolish to not at least try to run the ball. And even if it doesn't work initially, I think they're going to try it. So that's where my whole line of thinking comes, is this is going to be a close game headed into the fourth quarter. And I just give them the edge being at home at night with those 2-star running backs. That's where I think that the difference is made.
And if I remember correctly, that's kind of how the game went last year. I think they had a couple of long drives towards the end of the game that just kind of suffocated us. And I think that's, I don't know why that wouldn't be the formula for them this year, especially considering all these new elements in our offense that make us pretty explosive. That doesn't play to their strengths by any means, but that gives them all the reason to try to be clock controllers. And if you could do that while running the ball and you can just kind of wear us down, I don't see why that wouldn't be the formula, especially to finish up the game. Now, if we can go into the fourth quarter with the lead, then all of a sudden you're panicked a little bit, right? And that game plan maybe doesn't work. But assuming they're going into the fourth quarter with the lead, I think that's the recipe for success, and I think that's going to be infuriating to watch.
The guys up at Notre Dame with the South Bend Tribune, who I was talking to, made notice of the fact that Jadarian Price, he was the key man on one of those drives late in the game, or I believe actually it was early in the game, and then right there on the goal line, he fumbled, and they had to jump on. I think they had to settle for a field goal in that situation. They said if you know Marcus Freeman and his coaching, if you fumble, you're not seeing the field the rest of the game. And so that was a little bit of the situation they thought with Price. So that's curious. And, the other thing that they asked me that'll be curious to bring up here is they ask, is there Marcel Reed was pretty good at protecting the ball last year when you think about that fumble with Price. And they asked, is there a way that A&M might be more prone to turn the ball over? And honestly, from what they did last year and what Marcel Reed has put on tape so far, they've been really good at keeping that turnover margin down.
Yeah.
I don't see, and it would have to be a fumble or maybe a muffed punt or something. But even then, the special teams have been so good. I don't see, there's a lot of times you can see like there could be a turnover there. I don't see a lot of turnovers in this A&M offense.
No, I don't think they're going to. If A&M loses, I don't think it's going to be them shooting themselves in the foot. I don't think it's going to be kind of one of those things of like, critical turnover that, you had the game, but you lost it. I think it's going to be close either way. But yeah, I don't think they're going to force anything. Marcel Reed's decision-making has really impressed me. I think that's kind of one of the biggest differences I've seen. Not that he's ever had bad decision-making, but he just seems more mature this year. And even some of the drop balls or overthrown balls seem to be, the right decision.
I went back and watched the no huddle against Utah State because I love seeing it there as much as I do in person, but I think you see some more of the intricacies whenever you can just sit back and watch it and go back and look at play. Some of those throws that Marcel made in the south end zone, like those touchdown passes, I mean, those were next level. Like on the run, beautiful touch, just like I think he was capable of that last year, but we probably only saw it like once or twice, and we've seen him already do it several times this season. And so I think just from that standpoint alone, like the growth has been pretty spectacular. And I'm excited to see. I'm not like nervous for Marcel. I'm excited to see what he does on a bigger stage like this, because I think he's capable. And like I keep saying, I don't feel great about coming out of this with a win, but I do think we're going to see some great moments from our offense, especially.
So we look here and see the were to pulled our RPOs that Marcel Reed was able to run down. Same question could be said for Texas A&M and their run game. They haven't necessarily been able to fully establish it with the stable, the 5 great running backs that they have. How much of that do you feel like is by design, that they're trying to kind of get this passing game going? They're setting that up to be able to have a little bit better running offense in this game, or is there some reason to be concerned?
I don't have reason to be concerned, but I will also say I don't think we're going to have a better answer to that question a week from today, just because of how good Notre Dame's defense is. And I think if we try to establish the run and that doesn't work, and we try to pass and we end up, let's say we even end up winning, but we rush for less than 100 yards, like that wouldn't surprise me. That also would not concern me for the longevity of the run game, just because of the caliber of defense that we're going to play. Does that make sense? The sample size is too small as it is. I don't think that we're going to have, I don't think the waters are going to get any clearer after an away game against such a good defense.
Well, they're going to play man-to-man. They do like to play a lot of dime, get a lot of defensive backs out there. That might open things up a little bit for the run game. And Mike Elko talked a lot earlier in the season about wanting the offense to get wide, and they have those bubble screens. When you throw those bubble screens and you have wide receivers that can block as well as these guys have blocked, that's the running game. That's a running game too.
Absolutely.
Further to the outside. So
Mike Leach, Jake Spavital action.
I'm interested to see how much of that screen game, that short passing game, the RPO game we're going to see, or how much it's going to be a little bit more is it going to be a little bit more 2024, or is it going to be a little bit more of what we've seen so far in 2025, or a balance? Because that UTSA game was a completely different offense.
Yeah.
All those bubble screens, quick passes, RPO passes. The Utah State game kind of was a little bit more of a hybrid. What do you think the play calling still?
Yeah, I mean, to Max's point, I think, we are going to get the answers that we've kind of had all off season, after this Notre Dame game. It is going to be different than we've seen in the past, because, we saw right from the start kind of what they're going for the screen passes, the RPO game, and those explosive plays. I'm not concerned with the running game. I think we will see a little bit more of that. And that's mainly based on kind of what Notre Dame shows them. And I think they're capable. I think we're going to see a lot of Marcel running in this one too, because I think that's going to be the key for A&M's offense. Is if you start to get kind of the passing game going a little bit, that's going to open up lanes for Marcel. I think Le'Veon's still kind of coming into his own this year. It will probably be more comfortable now in week 3. Now he's had a couple of games under his belt. So as far as the play calling, I mean, we'll see. But I think the running game's fine.
I like the juxtaposition between what we did so much of last year and what the UTSA game looked like, because I think that's closer to the game plan that we'll run against Notre Dame than what necessarily we did against Utah State. I could be wrong, but I feel like last year it was a lot of we're living and dying on Le'Veon, with the occasional Marcel can make a play on his feet, right? And then the wheels fell off when we lost Le'Veon. And I think we looked more pro style because Le'Veon's a pro style running back, and Colin Klein was working with the best offensive weapon that we had, right? And now we've got him all over the field all of a sudden. So I don't know. It will be fascinating to see how we run this offense.
A lot of man-to-man coverage. If you get into if they get in a cover 1 situation, if you can get the ball outside to Craver, especially kind of was that mountain motion that goes behind the quarterback, or orbit motion that goes behind the quarterback, and you get those good blocks, there's going to be a lot of real estate to run on in those man coverages. So I do think maybe it'll look a little bit more like that UTSA, which means depending on what the defense gives them in some of those option game reads, it could be a lot more passing than running.
I am very interested to see the narrative around Colin Klein specifically a week from now, because I think there are some people whose football opinions I highly respect, who don't think that Colin Klein is as good of an OC as I think he is. I think he's a brilliant offensive mind. But we saw a couple of times last year where, the 4th and shorts that we weren't able to get, or like it would be a 2nd and 11 and we would just run it up the middle kind of thing. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how people view his game plan and play calling a week from today.
So what did I miss? What is there left? I mean, Mike Elko is coming back to a place he coached. He said there's not going to be much nostalgia. What else about this game is intriguing?
I would like to see how CJ Carr does against our secondary. I mean, I feel like the narrative around our defense has been, well, yeah, our pass defenses look pretty good, but now our run defense has a problem. Well, is our pass defense really that good? I hope it is. I certainly hope it is. And like having Brooks and Ricks, at Ratcliffe, and obviously Willie and Humphrey and Chappelle, like you've got all these names, but are we going to see a step up? Because as I understand it, Notre Dame, they've got talent all over the field, including a wide receiver. So yeah, I don't know, because you and I were talking, like we could see this being a game where both teams score close to 40. Or it could be like last year where nobody gets to 20. I don't know. I really don't. It is an enigma, and I think it's just going to evolve as it should on Saturday evening. It's a very interesting matchup. Like I said, from a neutral observer, this is the game that I have circled. Like regardless of whether I care about Notre Dame or A&M, I think this is going to be a very quote unquote fun game. I'm going to be throwing up and sweating bullets, but other people, the college football fan who doesn't really have a stake in either team's probably going to love it.
Yeah.
I love these matchups. And nothing to do with this game in particular, but so the last time they had this home and home with Notre Dame was 2000 and 2001. The head football coach at Brazos Christian right now, Jordan Black, NFL vet, played I think 13 years or so on the Packers. It was also a veteran. He played for Notre Dame, and he played in that series in 2000 and 2001. So I actually, kind of talked to him, and we'll have, more on KBTX on kind of, his take on this and everything. And he's a Texas guy, grew up in the Dallas area. I asked him kind of what he remembered about that game. He said that the coming to College Station, which is when A&M beat Notre Dame, and then the Irish beat the Aggies in South Bend, but he said he just remembered how hot it was because it was one of those September games. He said that's why we lost, and we were not prepared for that heat down in College Station.
Yeah,
it was.
I mean, for anybody who's traveling to South Bend, the weather's going to be pretty comparable to what we had earlier this week. Last I looked, like there could be a couple showers around tailgate time. I don't think there's any real concern for a lightning delay. It's possible, but I'm not really concerned about it. And the weather should get really nice really quickly. Like I think like upper 70s or about 80 degrees at kick. So I don't think the weather is going to be a huge problem for the players.
Yeah.
But it was funny, him being a Texas guy. He said his grandpa, his last, probably his senior day or whatever, his last game, he's like, so this is your last game college, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, good. And he took his Notre Dame hat and he threw it away. Because I think his family reluctantly cheered for him while he was away at Notre Dame.
Well, the other interesting, I'm going to write about this a little bit later in the week. You go back and there is no other sport in the world that schedules games out more than like really a year in advance. If maybe two, and sometimes like in, soccer or something, it's exhibition. But this game was put on the schedule in 2014 by then Texas A&M athletic director Eric Hyman.
Where's this?
3 ADs ago.
Yeah.
For A&M. And the funny thing, I called him up just to kind of talk about it. He kind of had to jog his memory a little bit. He's like, wait, that was, I did that one? I said, yeah. He goes, okay, let me think. And he thought, but he kind of started to remember it. But like, think back to 2014. 2014 was the first year of the college football playoff. Like, we just come off the BCS.
That was Jimbo Fisher in Florida State.
It was Jimbo Fisher was at Florida State. A&M was still Kevin Sumlin. I believe, was Bowen Lofton still the president?
Oh gosh, I believe so. Yes, yeah.
And
because I can't remember when he went to Mizzou, but it was while Sumlin was still here.
You're a year removed from Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
There is no transfer portal.
It's the Kenny Trill era, baby.
It's the Kenny Trill era. There is no transfer portal. There is no name, image, and likeness compensation. There is no revenue sharing. players stayed at schools for 4 years. If you moved, you had to sit out.
There's no 30-year-old back pain for me.
There's 30-year-old back pain for me.
We were just young pups back then.
Yeah. I was just living life in my 20s.
Yeah.
Like there was
hardly even an SEC network.
Yeah, there was the
first game played on the
that was
network.
prime Longhorn Network territory.
Oh,
No, I mean A&M had only been in the SEC for 2 years. It was a completely different. And to think that they put this game on the schedule on the books, and now A&M, the talking point is these 2 wide receivers they pulled in from the transfer portal, who by some metrics might be some of the highest paid wide receivers in the NIL. And the SEC is going to a 9-game conference slate next year, and how that, like, it is just wild to think about when this game was scheduled, and now that it's coming to fruition, what college football looks like, and nothing is going to change in this. I talked to Eric Hyman. He said, "Okay, if you're an AD now, does your philosophy on scheduling change?" He said, "No. I mean, it's always usually you have like one FCS game, one group of 5 game, and one stretch game into your conference play to kind of gauge how you are, or if you have a rivalry opponent that you might need to put in there, and then you play your conference slate."
I do wonder, and this is probably a better conversation for the offseason, but I do wonder what that is going to do. It's going to wind up hurting either the FCS or G5. And I don't know exactly who in this situation. Like, I think you would assume that, especially with a 9-game conference schedule, I think you'd assume that you still get that FCS game in, right? Because it still counts towards bowl eligibility. So you're probably still going to play your Nichols States of the world and stuff like that. But yeah, are you going to see a UTSA and a Utah State? Well, the answer obviously is no, because there's a conference game that replaces that. So are some of these G5 schools who would love to get a good payday, are they going to suffer a little bit from that because of a 9-game schedule?
They might not get as many games.
Right.
But, I asked Mike Elko about this on the teleconference this morning, and the thing that you have to weigh here with a 9-game schedule is, do you want that one Power 4, and it's actually an SEC rule that you have to schedule that one Power 4 opponent every year. And that's, if you're going to do that, it's going to need to be a home and home. Like, no one's just going to go to one spot and not agree to a home and home. But the other thing you need to weigh now in the revenue sharing era is you want as many home games as possible, because that's how you fill the coffers back up to be able to generate revenue. And so if you have more opportunity with the G5 school, with the FCS school, for them to say, okay, so we're going to pay you a bunch of money, you come here, and we're going to play this as many games as we can in Kyle as possible. But
and then how does that affect your Superdomes and your Mercedes-Benz stadiums and your stuff like that for like the very first game of the year?
I do think the neutral site, unless it's a historic,
right?
If it's already established, rivalry, largest outdoor cocktail party, like those, I think are going to stay because of the contracts, and that's just the rhythm that everybody has.
Does Florida Georgia go to campuses?
It might.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. That's the greatest outdoor cocktail. I think that stays neutral, but why not? I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's briefly look around the SEC. I have an interesting one here from let's see. It's the Kansas City Beacon website. So there's this school, Raytown High Schools in just in Missouri, Kansas area, Kansas City. They had to close down because of a methane gas buildup beneath the school, and I don't know. People they brought in experts in the story to talk about methane gas.
Methane experts
is a odorless gas. In a laboratory.
Oh, okay.
But outside of a laboratory, let's see if I can find this quote. Let's see. This one gas expert says, well, in a lab it's odorless, but outside the lab, methane often runs, we say, with stinky friends. I think with most of the high school, especially like the high school locker rooms that I've been around, I don't know if you'd be able to detect a methane gas leak.
I don't. Maybe not. But to me, that's a different locker room smells different than methane. And I'm not an expert. Which, by the way, when Travis was like, "Okay, here's the story that we're doing towards the end of the show," and then he it is apparently just smelled like farts, and then he just turned and looked at me like, "What do you think of that story, man?"
Yeah.
And
you look like you smell farts.
like Tyler wasn't even in the room, and it's just this dude. He likes fart stories. Let's tell him about it. But yeah, I think you'd be able to tell that something was off because there's sulfur, then there's methane. Then there's sweat and BO and mildew and stuff like that. And to me, all of those last ones, that's more what a locker room smells like. So if I'm out there and I'm a player, something's wrong. Because maybe right initially be like, okay, who did that? You're sitting in the huddle.
Yeah.
But then after a while, you're like, oh, this isn't going away.
That is one deadly flash.
I tell you what,
that is the fart to end all farts.
If it was on our football field, coaches are having everybody run laps because they just are blaming it on the kids.
Who keeps farting?
Yeah.
Go run laps. The smell cocktail of a high school, you're right, is usually
Don't like
stinky,
waiting conversations.
like stinky laundry.
Yeah.
You got BO. And then on top of the BO, you got Axe bodies.
So you got about
And then this was, I don't know if this is still in place, but in the early aughts, then you have all of the girls' Bath and Body Works mixed in there.
Yeah.
And then there's probably some methane smell.
I forgot about the cologne and the Axe.
Supposedly,
body spray.
I'm just going off the stories I've read here, but supposedly Gen Z and Gen Alpha is really into the cologne. So maybe they've stepped their game up from the fire.
Perhaps.
That's
Axe
probably
body
a
spray
good
that
thing.
we
need
don't
to
know.
move on from the body spray.
Nothing is good. Like a shower is the best.
Yes, take a shower.
Shower is the best remedy.
Bathing is good.
Bathing is good.
Yep.
Because I can think about every single high school basketball game I played where you played the game and then you went into the locker room and then you changed and you're gonna go out to Chili's with all your friends.
Oh, that's so gross.
But then you sprayed on the Axe body spray and you just went.
I showered personally. I made sure to shower. I know that there was a big group that did not and just did the spray down, but
not everyone can be so fresh. But okay, here's the thing. I've worked with you for a year now. I rarely see you sweat. You don't sweat. Well, that was the one time. You can go out there and shoot a whole high school football game and come back in on Friday night to do the show, and you look like you just, just like when you got there. I don't understand it. You're a wizard.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I still shower though after a good workout or anything.
I think it's all connected because it's kind of like his temper. Tyler's he's cool about it.
Even keeled.
I run hot in more ways than one.
You and me both.
Yeah.
You and me both. Well, that is all that we have to smell about in this Aggie Game Day Extra podcast.
Aggie Game Day Extra. We will talk more about
where farts come from.
Gosh,
to do that. So be sure to find that. Why are you pointing at me again? You're gonna have to.
You're the stinky one.
Go check Max's Twitter.
That's so
right.
Thirst trap Max.
No, Max. Just Aaron podcast. Just say
fart Twitter. So we'll be up in. Me and Jair will be up in South Bend to cover all of everything going on up there. Be sure to check all of our broadcasts leading up. KBTX.com, the KBTX Sports app. Always download the weather app. There might be some farts on there too. And we'll see you next week. So for Tyler and Fartmaster, I'm Travis Brown. This is the Game Extra podcast. We'll see you next week.